Okay. So welcome again, everybody. My name is Yunyan, and we will meet you in shortly. Usually, this is a jam, well prepared, well organized. And I just said the stickler union would have done that, would. This is the first time I did not. This is the first time I did not, because I aimed for an informal conversation. Arno, what are you doing?
I'm making sure I'm not dreaming. No, you're still there. Yes.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm still here, and it's still me. It's still me. So this is a new experience for me to do a chat with guests without preparation, meaning I have a wing woman, Mint, who is taking care of all the tag. Oh, we don't use a lot of tag, I think, today, Mint. But thank you
We'll see.
for helping me. We'll see. We'll see. We have an invited three invited guests. We have Lekim from New York. I hope she's still in New York. Yeah. We have Sabrina, who we have met in the last 2 months. Yes, hello, hello, Sabrina. And we have Laura from Sicilia, and she was very, very clear about that. And that's the reason why I invited you to come. And Julie is also a friend who is coming in. Welcome, Julie. I just did my introduction. Since we know each other, I hope you still expect me to be as I am. Yes. Well, changes and surprises. Because we have new people here in the call, maybe we do a short round of introductions. Is that okay? Is that okay? Yeah. I'm going to start with Arne, and can you nominate then somebody else in this session? Who are you, Arne?
For sure. I think I know most people here. So I am actually someone who, if I heard correctly, what a stickler is, then I don't think I am one, because I think I'm the opposite of that. What's the opposite of a stickler, Donna?
I don't know. A flower,
A flower. I like that. That's good. Oh,
a
you
free
confirm.
flower.
All right. Yeah, I'm a free flower. Yeah, that sounds like me. Which is not always a good idea, by the way. It's not like something I recommend to everyone, but I do kind of I like the other thing is that it's not me who said that about myself, but I was being told by someone that I start fires. I think that was meant as a good thing, by the way. Not like not an arsonist or anything, but it's like you start fires. Yeah. No. And I've had many kind of initiatives that most of them failed. I actually was collecting a list of all the initiatives I've ever launched, all the little companies or meetups or whatever came to my mind, which, by the way, my wife would then, because she's a graphic designer, would then turn into a real thing. Because I would like, I have this idea, I want to get it. And then she would turn that into something beautiful. And we're like, oh, wow, that's amazing. It looks like it actually exists because someone visualized that. We were making a list of that. And I can honestly say that I think 90% of the things I tried disappeared. And these completely didn't work at all. One thing that did work was the Design Thinkers Academy, Design Thinkers Group, which I started in 2006, which is still there. I left it, and it's still there. So it's hard to kill, apparently. So even if I left it, it's still surviving. It's good. No, just joking. We are recording, so this is a joke, folks.
For legal reasons, yes.
For legal reasons. That was my humor. I also did stand-up comedy, and I wasn't very funny, as you can tell. So my new career is in working with Yun and with Mimp and with Martin and other people on building Future Skills Academy, which is what I really, really now believe in, and I put all my effort into now. And let's hope that
Thank
actually does work
you.
out. Yes. Well, too
Thank
long. And I
you.
work with Yun and Yun is always the one who makes sure that I don't talk too much. So thank you, Yun, for being the stickler in my life.
Thank you, Arne. Nominate somebody.
I will nominate Raluca because we haven't spoken for many, many, many moons. I don't know, I'm afraid to say years even. We have been in contact through LinkedIn and all that, but haven't really seen you in real life. So it's very nice to see you. And
Yeah,
there you go.
I was actually just quickly posting something on LinkedIn and thought of you guys, because there's gonna be a conference in September on future skills and design thinking and artificial intelligence. You should definitely join it if you can. Um, my name is Raluca. I live in Romania, and I'm not at home right now, because if I would have been, I would show you something on my refrigerator that says "Start more fires."
Ooh.
But now I'm at work, and this is what work looks like at the moment, where I get in trouble for putting posters on the walls. Posters that managers don't like. But this is a recording, so officially I am an administrative employee that does courses for students and university professors in the university in Sibiu.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And I will nominate Sabrina.
Hello, everyone. So nice to see and meet you guys, and to be my very first web jam gathering online. So thank you so much for the invite. Well, I'm Sabrina, and I'm from Utrecht, from Holland. And I'm currently a freelance brand strategy consultant on a kind of sabbatical. So I'm taking actually some time off to really meet new people, get inspired, and train my brain again, because I really needed that break from work life and the workspace that I've been in for many, many years. I've worked in sports for Nike, for the Dutch Football Federation, and recently for the National Sports and Olympic Federation. So I'm actually trying to see if I can use that sports mentality, but also look into more of a human approach. I think it's very natural to where I'm at right now myself, but I also think that's a future skill hiding in there. So I'm actually trying to have a lot of conversations about that. So very happy to meet you guys and well, see what we can talk about.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Sabrina. Please nominate another person.
Donna.
Hi, I'm Donna McDonald. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee, and I was part of the Wednesday Web Jam for a few years and met a lot of amazing people and learned a lot. And it just made me hungry for more. And so I keep attending. And I work for a global company doing marketing and business development. And I love this space. And I will throw it to Ronco.
Ranko, we can't hear you. What's going on?
Oh no.
No.
Fun with technology.
You are on mute right now, but
He's
yeah.
he's not on mute
He's
at the
testing
moment.
us. He's challenging us. He
Yes.
wants us to learn something new. So
Can you
the
do
future
sign language?
skill we are talking about here is learning to read somebody's
Lips.
lips. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Ranko, is it okay that I ask one other person to go before you? Before you? Yeah, good. Okay. Donna, to somebody else.
Okay, Laura.
And I hope my microphone is working.
Yes.
Yay! Okay, it is. Hello, everybody. Very happy to be here. And I'm really crazy for people, I can say. I mean, I really like to know new people and also to understand them. I work in the human resources in a health tech company here in the Netherlands, where I moved with my husband. We've got 2 kids. I met UN via a communal contact, let's say, via Ela. And I was invited here and very happy and curious to see what we can create together.
Let's
And
do that. Yeah.
I pass this to Julie.
Hello, everybody. It's lovely to be here. I'm just going to build on the sparking part. So on my LinkedIn profile, it says I'm a pyromaniac, and I am not afraid to say that. So I like to spark, I think like Arna and like others here, I like to spark ideas, people, and solutions. I have a company and I help people solve big problems. And so we use design thinking to do that. We use Sprint Suite to do that. We use opportunity sprints to do that. We use whatever new tool that I can come up with to do that. So that's who I am. And I'm super excited about the Future Skills Academy because it's human-centered. And and I firmly believe that the skills of the future are about our humanity, not our ability to use tech as much as we think. Anyway, I love to come here and play every month, and I look forward to it every month. And so I will pass now the ball to Lee.
Hello, calling from New York. As Union said, I have 11-year-old daughter. I make these things every day. So this so new. It's actually a collaboration between people who were at the park made this one, and then this part is what I made. I am here because MIMP put an invitation out there, and whenever MIMP invites you, just come and join, see what happens. But also because I love Union and Arne, and just to hear what people are talking about, learning about. So happy to be here, and let's see if Ranko's audio works now.
Let's see. And everybody can hear me from Colombia, Bogota. This is good. That's good.
Yo.
There we
Yes.
go. So I don't have classes. Normally I have about 8 classes, around 200 students to entertain. So I'm happy that it's a small break so I can join you guys. I know Yunyen from I don't know how many years ago. We met on a session with Strategizer with Alexander Osterwalder. And since then I joined the Wednesday Web Jam, and I try to join this one if I have time. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I think
I
we
need
have
to
2
nominate the
persons.
next one.
Yes, we
Yes.
have Mim and we got Sabine.
Okay. I go for Sabine. No?
Thanks. Sure. Hi. That's a good bridge because I was very excited to hear that you're in Bogota. I used to live in Bogota for like 3 or 4 months, but it's ages ago. I'm I'm sending greetings from the north. I'm based in Helsinki in Finland, but I'm originally from the north of Germany. I must say I have a vague idea how I ended up here, or like haven't seen any of you before except for Mint. And just was it 2 hours ago I saw your LinkedIn post of you hosting something this afternoon, and I thought like, oh, last time we met was a lot of fun, so I just signed up because, well, I don't have anything else to do. It seems it's a bit too hot outside, so I'm very happy to be inside and not burn. Otherwise, maybe I could share that at this point I am a very active volunteer in the Service Design Network and in the Finland chapter, currently organizing the global conference in case some of you might know about it, and also trying to figure out how I, as an international over here in my very local neighborhood, could become a more active citizen given language barriers and so yeah, that's pretty much everything I want to share. And then yeah, Mimp, over to you.
Thank you, Sabine.
Sure.
Thank you. So glad you're here. Yay. I'm Mimp. I think most of you know me. I'm a creative. I'm a creative designer, and I like bringing people together like today, and I am learning to facilitate a lot more. So that's also something I love. I work with Arna and Yunyen at Future Skills, and I also I want to keep it short and sweet because we're aware of time, but I'll say the last two things. I'm a foodie. I have a food account on Instagram if you want to follow, and I love K-pop. There we go.
That's great. Thank you, Mim. Thank you. And actually, you gave me a great bridge to the topic of today. And the topic of today is building communities. Some of us in this group do have large experience in building communities. So if you would look at the community of K-pop, what stands out for you? What stands out for you? So may I start with Lee first, and then we get the conversation going.
Although I'm from Korea, I actually do not know K-pop that well. So Mint probably knows the more about the K-pop because I actually do not listen to K-pop, contrary to popular belief. I'll pass it off to Mint.
What was the question again?
Well, actually, what stands out for you, when you build a community, and I know you have built a great community, Lee, and I call it the Zeal people. So what stands out there in building a community or joining a community? I wonder.
Yeah. So I'll actually link a little bit to K-pop. So, like K-pop, although I don't listen to it that much, I cannot escape it, right? It's everywhere. But K-pop, I think, is popular because there was a lot of effort going in before it became K-pop. They were trained, auditioned, trained. They lived their life from like 10 years old to 17, whenever so like they lived through that. And hopefully some of them make it, and many of them don't. So I think the intention probably is something similar to the Zeal community that we have built, not necessarily the the training and all those kind of things, and partnership, because I think it is really hard to do anything in anywhere without a partner, because you get tired, you get questioned about the thing. So the Zeal community was created because I needed it. I desperately needed a way to learn how to facilitate digitally when the COVID happened. And then, you know, I had a great partner, Andy, who also reminded me that what is really important in community is not the skills, it's not the tools. Actually, it might be the skills. It's not the tools, but how do we keep the humanness? How do we keep making sure that Sabine, Sabrina, Donna, Laura, Julie, and everyone else feel that they are part of it? And I didn't know how to do that, you know, like that well. So I partnered with Andy, and Andy started to, you know, incorporate some of the ideas. So I would think that at least the Zillow community that we have built together, two things. One is intention to help each other out, because we really needed to help each other out to kind of overcome the difficulties we're having. And then another thing is making sure that how do we make sure that everyone, this is a good example, everyone have their camera on, you know, we can see each other. It's not a webinar. How do we keep the humanness in the community? So those two things probably are similar to what K-pop is. Not as it's not as rhythmic or, you know, rigorous as K-pop, but I would say those two things.
Thank you. It sparks ideas, huh? And it sparks also, for example, Julie, what you said about humanness and humanity, and how does this sound to you? In maybe you have built communities, Julie, that I don't know of actually.
I have. Hard to believe, right? Yeah.
Please share.
You know, I think Lee just put their finger on it, right? It's all about the people, helping them feel that they belong and are needed, and that we can help each other. That help is a very important word, right? Communities form around beliefs and beliefs that they share, right? So it's about building the understanding or creating a space so that they can figure out what shared beliefs they will stand for, and they will help each other grow, I think, right? So it's not the tools, it's not the technology, it's what is it that keeps people coming back to help each other. And sometimes that's a crisis that actually questions our beliefs, right? So COVID created communities. Natural disasters create communities. People come out of their doors and help each other and form community, and they connect naturally. So it's a little bit controversial to think that you might want to actually create disruption. You may not want to create it, but you may want to pay attention to it and allow communities to grow up to help each other through disruption. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Please
I like
open
the
your
idea.
mic. Go
I
ahead.
like the idea that communities share beliefs as well. That maybe is the starting point. In my experience, they also are created to give an answer to something, to respond to certain needs. And what keep them going is the indeed sense of belonging. We already talked about it. But what I see quite often is also the experience that the people get there. So, for example, the possibility to grow, sharing experiences, asking for advice, finding new insights, new input, learning from each other, from each other's life, from each other's knowledge, expertise, but just really becoming a sort of machine. Sorry, I saw it's a hard word, but it's just to give the idea, a sort of machine where things are just put there randomly or even without having the final idea, but then something happened, the magic between people, and what comes out enriches the experience. So community is for me also a place where people find something they need, they want, they like.
You can open your mic and respond before I talk too much.
Oh, I'm afraid to do so.
You don't, Arne.
I'm on mute.
Okay, let me say something, because I think building a community is really about the intentions. And I think the Wednesday Web Jam was a really good example that we have intentions to learn together and feel together. But I think also what is critical is if you cannot connect with people in that group, you have to leave. Because I think it's nonsense to join a soccer team and you don't connect with people and just play the game. It doesn't last long. So I think that's an essential ingredient that you need to connect with, whether it's virtual or offline, but you need to connect with someone that has the same purpose or the same journey. If not, then you need to move and find another community.
How would you know that how would you know that that connection is there? Oh.
No, in retrospective, it's really interesting to see that the Wednesday Web Jam, I told my students as well, that the world became a village. I met people from Australia, from different parts of the world, and we connected. We reconnected after the web jams and had a conversation, and it was really interesting. I was like, what? So it's more like, yeah, you find some commonalities and some intentions that are similar. That's how you know you're connected in them. I feel connected with you.
Oh, say me. Thank you, Ranko. Yes. Since you mentioned the word soccer team, I know we have an expert in the game soccer, Sabrina. How does that work?
Well, it's for me, my football family, and that has started when I was 11. I'm now 40, and I've played in many, many teams over the years. And with the last one, my current team, we've known each other for 8 years, some even longer. So I consider them my second family in a way. They're the ones that I see in Utrecht, whereas my family lives in other parts of Holland. So, and it's truly how it evolved from me being in love with the game to being a more, the social component of being in a team is super important, next to learning leadership skills and endurance and how to cope with winning or losing, but you do it together. So I think here for me is, and I think that's also something that I've learned myself. So how am I in a team? It definitely prepared me for work life. But also I was very curious, it was very interesting to see how my co-workers maybe acted differently in how I would like to be, or how I maybe had a position in my football team versus how my co-workers would respond to me. Also because maybe the culture in a company is a certain way, even more competitive even, or differently driven. So it is definitely, it is human-centered, but you also have to meet the right teammates. And in a work environment, there are so many factors that decide how you want to be each other's teammates. And I've really learned so much about that, how I can now, I'm like, this is me, period. I cannot fit any mold to work in a certain way anymore. But that was definitely different when I was 25 or 30, or definitely. So it's such a so important. And I really like what you said just now, is that you can also find your team in a different way and still be a professional. So I consider this my team. the people here on my team. And it's really nice to find here something that can help me give energy or learn something, and then I can take it with me to wherever I am playing a different game. So, or the same game even. So I think that's really important, that community sense. But in the work environment, I find it really tough at the moment, maybe especially in the sports industry at the moment. I really hope that we can find some humanity in there as well, especially since we're doing it for the people, organize sports, play beautiful games for everyone to watch. So I think that's a really interesting, but also very important thing to, we have to be a bit different about that, I think. It's very commercialized, very technology is really even more, but what's the human side of that?
And it seems that out of our conversation, two different forms are emerging. Like one is more an enterprise organization or a commercial organization is emerging, while the other one, we could call it a community. Are they in that way so different? How do you choose where you want to be? Who has a response or a thought on that?
I'll use an example of, I live in a co-op in here, and that means I own a share of this like a community. So I bought into it, right? I bought into it, but I also am part of the garden. Like there's a community garden. I'm an active member of the garden community. I go there every day. I water the garden. If I see somebody else's garden is not watered, I will water them. My husband asked me, "Are you gonna go to the annual meetings for the shareholders?" I say, "No. Like nobody's gonna listen to what I have to say." So I choose I choose to participate in the garden community because that's where I feel like this is where I can contribute. This is where I can see the things growing and I can help each other. It doesn't really matter if people recognize what I do. But with the shareholders meetings, it feels like people are fighting about the things, the road repair has to be done. And so although I'm part of both communities, large and small, I find where I feel more connected to, whether people recognize it or not. And I choose to be part of smaller community where I feel connected to myself and the things that I do. And I would assume similar things would happen. You go into work, you're getting paid to do it. So it's not like I have to sign up to the community, but within the work, you might find smaller communities where you feel, oh yeah, like this is where I can contribute, I can grow, I can nurture. So in a way, those are the things that I choose to, and certain things I was either born into or was forced into. So like those are things I of course love to just have a way to contribute, and that's like this, right? Maybe I see you all the time contributing, kind of doing the things, and I'm sure that's not forced by anyone, but probably by choice.
Please, Arne, stop it. Thank you, Liek. There is something really beautiful what you explain, and that is I contribute. And so to me, it sounds like, so your choice, you chose to contribute to this and not that. How does that sound for some of you? Maybe Sabine.
Yeah, I just wrote down a keyword or like a thought that came into my head, which was more revolving around the use of the word choice. That I was wondering that I think it's also sometimes very relevant to reflect on how much was it really like a genuine choice versus I think maybe it's easier to follow my thoughts if you think of age, for instance. Even if a child might have a community, I think oftentimes that is not necessarily a choice, but unfortunately maybe also a certain direction pushed by parents or maybe by friends or so. And I think now as an adult, I have found myself also at times in a position where I was wondering, why do I feel I need to be a part of a certain community? Was it my choice, or why did I make that choice? Was it purely because out of a shared, for instance, belief, interest? And I think that also relates back to the question, how do you choose where to go to? I think sooner or later, when you reach a stage of, or a point of reflection, you might notice that it wasn't a kind of very self-driven choice to join a certain group or a certain community at some point. Though maybe at this point I can add one more thing that I wrote down to myself earlier, is related to giving myself or oneself this flexibility of coming and going. I think it's also interesting at times to see in how far a community can change in purpose. I think there always is a certain need in flexibility also in what the group does, and I think sometimes communities evolve and change into doing something else than why they were initially established. And I think that's a space which is kind of hard to handle, since they're at a certain level with a certain size comes also this need for having a kind of organization, someone that runs the community maybe, and how far do you give the flexibility to also evolve and change?
It really feels as if you looked into my brains, Celine, and
Maybe I
handpicked
did.
the items.
You never know.
Yeah, yeah. Who wants to share a little bit more? Mm. Thank
Donna,
you,
I know you
Julie.
had your hand up.
Oh, I don't remember what I put my hand up for, but with the community, I think that it's a feeling of safety. You know, I think that that's what made, like the web jam last so long, was that, and probably Design Zeal, that people felt safe to share. And, you get matched up with different people that you don't know, and you don't know what their reactions or their thoughts are, but there's that sense of safety. And, and then I was thinking, when somebody was talking about an energy magnet, I'm not sure if it was Sabrina, but that's where you're drawn. It's like, I'm drawn here. And, and then there's things that go on that you don't really want to be a part of. And then you're pushing, and then it's just natural to go to where you're being drawn. And then the last thing would be, I look at this group and other groups as being like a big hug, because you give your time, you try to contribute, but you always get something back. You always leave with, new knowledge, new friendships, new something. So good communities are like a great big hug.
I think
Mm.
we're speaking. Sorry.
I just want to say, Donna, I just posted an article in the chat which says, sorry, Luca, I just wanted to share that, which says 4 health benefits of hugs. It's an article on the website of bluezones.com, which is about how we live a healthier life. And hugs and the community is one of those things. Anyway, I thought that's exactly what you were saying. Sorry, Luca, go.
So cool. I just thought that we were all talking from the perspective of members of a community that benefit from the community, but I'm also thinking about what it means to be the person that starts the community, or maybe on what Sabine was saying, on who in some cases needs to take some organizational responsibilities, or whatever, if they can even be called like that in a community. Because I think there's a different side of the coin, where it can be exhausting to be the person to draw people. to the community and always provide energy and knowledge and benefits for people that join the community.
Don't escape, Raluca. So raising the question is also having the chance to answer or respond to your question. What else are you thinking?
Well, I was also thinking about, well, not on this point, but I was also thinking about when a person challenges the community, is it, and I can give a personal example for this with some students that volunteers that I work with. So they volunteer. So the only way they join the community is if they want to. Sure, they get some benefits, but it's not the immediate benefits most students are seeking today. And I chose, for example, to keep in the community a person that appears to be challenging the others and always like pessimistic and not and what happens when you have to choose to make a choice, because keeping somebody that could disrupt the community might lead to some people leaving, but it can also mean growth. So yeah, I don't know, just a
Yeah.
lot of thoughts going through my mind on
Good,
this
good, good.
topic.
I see Ranko has a comment or a thumbs up. Please share.
Yes, so I think there's a tension between politics and organic evolvement of a community. And I think it's okay to, if you start something, to let it go. I think that's maybe the hardest part. And acknowledge, say, okay, maybe the need is not like in the Wednesday web jam. At a certain point, you guys decided to stop. And that's not an easy decision, but I think it's really good to keep it organic. And I'm not really a fan of structures and because structures brings also power and politics and stuff that we maybe is not really beneficial. If we go back to, for example, kids, they don't have a structure. Yeah, maybe informal, people take the lead or are more proactive, or but it's really organic what's happening on the playground or in classes. And I like that way, how we interact. And to let it go, maybe that's the hardest part.
Maybe you should read our newsletter. There is an article about Buddhist teachings, and they are in the business of letting go. Okay, I'm sorry. So that's a little tip. I many things resonate with me. For example, having Lee's example of the house, the shareholders, and the garden, taking care of the garden, that works. Like both ideas, they exist. They can coexist. They are even overlapping, existing, right? I and that helps to not see it as two opponents, but they coexist. And if I can keep a metaphor like that in my head, then I know exactly where I am. So one time, so I take myself as an example. One time, I know I'm doing the nitty gritty of mail, of text, and all that kind of stuff. But I know for who I do it. So it can, Raluca, as you say, it can feel heavy, but still knowing and seeing you guys gives me energy to do that. And already knowing that nothing will stay forever, it means it can be organic. So, yeah, luckily it is organic, right? it moves. It has a rhythm. It breathes. It so it's alive, and perhaps that helps. That helps to see the real human side in it. If it doesn't breathe, then what is it then? Then maybe we are only doing regulations and procedures. Julie, please step in.
I think this comes back to, I can't recall who said it. I mean, it is a machine, but it's also its own force, right? The community is a force that grows and diminishes and moves and changes through time. It's an energy, as we've said. It's uncontrollable in many ways. We will do everything we can to control it, or even to breathe air into it when it's dying, when we can feel that it's dying. But maybe we should trust the community to know what's best for itself, right? I think that's what I would add there.
I'm just thinking now that maybe there's a difference between a community of people that come together because they already have like not only common values, but maybe some common ground on the topic they are joining. And then there could also be communities of people that join without uh, having the common ground. And then I think the self-organizing, yes, will come in time, but it doesn't magically happen when people join something that they don't know anything about or know very little about.
I hope in a sense that with students, maybe with people being put together because they had to form a team, you don't choose each other. You have to, cope with who you are with, but you always need someone that makes sure that people reflect on each other. With students, it's the same. You have to work with each other. You're here and you have to make a contribution. I'm not in education, but I can imagine that you at least want to make sure that we need a minimal effort. Or if you do this, then you can get, you can get some result. But if you do this, then the result will be even better. So I think then if you have a forced group of people working together, you still need them to be willing to be reflective or something, I feel. Because not everything can be like custom made to the person and their energy and if they're willing. And so I hope always in the teams that I work with is that people are at least they can also say, well, I'm not feeling that well, so I cannot run this far today, So this is, I think that's also very good if you are able to share maybe the effort or your mood, or sometimes it's also okay if you can carry something together, but still you have to make sure that you're part of it. So, and I guess with students it's also a very interesting dynamic how that works, because but it's their responsibility and they have to hopefully feel a little bit accountable of what they do there. It's a privilege to study, and I don't have to make it that big, but it's actually quite amazing, especially if you're now graduated for many, many years. So I hope that there are always people, or at least something that the school can do, that you point out that they don't feel that they stay connected to each other in a way. So hopefully they can give each other a bit of energy, or at least the mirroring that we need. So you get a human side of things. It's not to get a result. You have to hopefully at least stay in conversation, as your students hopefully do, even if it's one being moody. They have to show up anyway.
To what extent, Sabrina, so to what extent are you being the role model for that?
Ooh,
Mhm.
it sparked a lot of things because I think I'm also quite molded by my family in how my role now also is in work life. Maybe that's also a bit recognized with everyone who grew up in an Asian family. But it's yeah. I like the community sense. How am I being a role model? I like to eat lunch together. There for me, there are things that I like to do together and at least be open and personal about things before we get to work, because I think if we are cool with each other and we feel safe with each other, we get the best job. We can make the best things come together and even a bit more. So I try to contribute to that and be a positive energy in that. So yeah, but that's also, I think, a personality thing, and hopefully also for people that are into that, but I think
Yeah.
it's yeah. I'm always hoping with people that putting work teams together, they get a sense of that, who are in my team, and not just if they can work hard, if they're blue or yellow or whatever, but I think that's always the magic for me. If you if you feel that you have like-minded and similar energy together.
Yeah.
I always like
Thank
that,
you.
or at least hopefully I can play a bigger part in that.
Thank you. Thank you. I wonder who else knows he or she is a role model, and how do you do that?
I'm not a role model, but I'm an ambassador of a community. In an organization, there are nowadays many communities, also called employee resource group. And I'm part of one of them, an ambassador, big word, is meant to foster and support women taking leadership roles. And the way I try to be an ambassador of this message, meaning women can support each other during this journey, is being absolutely open to open my network for everyone, and no matter where, country or company is really not important at all. So connection is something that for me brings or maybe is a transporter for vitality, for diversity. And by doing this, I also promote somehow inclusion, sorry, because when you take on a journey that is tough, you need a community that can support you. You need a community where you can somehow share your troubles, find new ideas, also find energy. So welcoming, opening doors, and somehow mentoring when needed, but being really, really authentic. Sometimes I just say, I don't know, we need to look together for help. This is my way to somehow keep the sense of community alive, not just alive, but really vital.
Thank you. Yeah. Now my eye also goes to the clock. We got left 3 minutes. The conversation just started, actually. Yeah, the conversation just started about humanity, humanness, communities, we ourselves. And I quote Sabrina: "We are the eyes in this team. We are our own individual." I think we continue this conversation. It could be next month. It could be after the summertime, and yeah, I'll I'll promise to do this. Maybe one last word from all of you, what you got out of this conversation, and then we close this conversation for now. So may I go one by one, and Raluca, perhaps could you share with us a few words what you took out from this conversation?
Sure. So I got choice. So you enter by choice, and then it's also a choice how if you manage or how you manage the community. And yeah, I also want to just quickly share something with you.
The fridge.
Yes. Okay. Now I just have to figure out how to switch back. Okay.
Well, make fires. Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
We have pyromaniacs here in this session. At least 3. Thank you, Raluca. Thank you. Donna, what did you take out of this conversation?
One of the things that I liked was about the disruption and the bad things and the not having the same views that can lead to growth and come up with more ideas and more solutions.
Thank you, Donna.
It's not just positivity that creates growth.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna. Yes. Julie.
I'm still processing. I'm a very slow and determined thinker, so that's why I put notes in the chat. So I'm still processing. I don't have one takeaway yet.
Thank you, Julie. Yes. Sabine.
I'd say I take out of it a input for a bit critically reflecting on the communities that I may have thought I am part of, but maybe thinking about if that is really so, or where are my people at this point? Also, maybe to balance a bit of time and energy. Yeah.
Thank you, Sabine. Yes, I resonate with that. Thank you. Sabrina.
I wrote down many things, but I'm going to pick one because I think it's the community garden is something that we can all do. Create or participate in it. So I really like that as it's also very tangible to think and work like that. So and thank you all for the energy. Really nice.
Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you. Lee.
I was actually thinking about holding space, like when I signed up for this, I didn't know what it is that we're gonna be. But I think after an hour, holding space for each other, listening to each other, and just to kind of contemplating on the topic for 1 hour, that's what I take away from it, that having the space where we can listen to each other probably is the starting point, or maybe continuation of the space, the community space.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Laura.
I've got quite a few, but I would like to focus on one. That community are like abstract creature. So they are created or born, they grow up, they change, of course, they might deliver kids, and they die. And that's natural. It's in the normal life. So this is also something nice. very important to look at the heritage of the community when they die, but very important to be aware of it.
Thank you, Laura. I really love that. Thank you. Arne.
Yeah, many things. So actually, the conversation just reminded me of something someone said 2 weeks ago. So he is a friend, and he built lots of communities. And actually, it was interesting because we talked about community building, and he said, "Well, you don't really start a community. If you start a community, you're doing it wrong." And we're like, "Oh, I think I did that, didn't I?" And he said, "No, they emerge. You might, it's more like." And I thought about it, and I thought, oh yeah, that's true. Everything I did, like the Wednesday Web Gym, for instance, it wasn't meant to be community. It was meant to practice, like you, Lee, facilitating online because of COVID. That was the intention. And then a community started emerging around it. And we saw, and then we're like, oh, there's a community there. So the spark is not the community starting the community. The spark is something that might be just you needing something. And so I think that's, yeah, I don't know. That has been going through my brain. Like, so I'm most really interested. So is that happening? When does that happen? And anyway, so yeah. And I like the fact that you talk about the community with the community, and that might be the community, and you go like, that's really, high level, meta level talking. Talking about so I'm
Thank you. Yeah. Let me close your microphone. Thank you. Mimp.
What Donna said, like a big hug, is how I feel with this conversation today.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you, Mimp. Yep. For me, I was made aware again. This is about people, and everything what we have as emotions, feelings, and intentions, and big hugs. That is what we can give each other. And besides that, if we have an intention in our own individual mind of how to lead or show up or be a role model in that community group of people, then that's okay. That already is okay. And you'll see if people want to be with you or not. And that's a good thing. Thank you for coming today and having this conversation. It's a good thing not to prepare and just have the conversation. So having said that, I'm going to say bye to you. Big hugs. Next month, we're going to see each other again, last Wednesday. Take good care of yourself and your loved ones, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Wow.
Bye.
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 Stop
I
the
can't
recording.
believe-
Woo!
Bye recording.
There.